2020, the year of the rat, kicked off with an ominous start. An extremely contagious epidemic caused by novel coronavirus has struck China. Initially broke out in Wuhan and quickly spread to the whole country, and is spreading to the other part of the whole world. Within 2 months, this epidemic infected over 70,000 people in China and killed more than 2,000 of them, with large scale of quarantine effort in China resulting in significant decrease on economic activities. This epidemic exerts a broad impact on Chinese economy. Since China plays an important role on global supply chain, the epidemic also cast a shadow over economic of the whole world. No one would expect or be happy about this kind of loss in fortunate lives. However, if you ask a Chinese whether he or she is surprised by this bad start of 2020, the answer would likely be no. On Chinese calendar, 2020 is the year of Genzi, a classic ominous year. Actually, since middle of 2019, Chinese feng shui practitioners, I Ching masters, and astrological experts started to give predictions on various possible calamities or disasters could happen this year. Why is that? How did Chinese figure out ominous years or auspicious years? In this video, let's unlock this knowledge. More than 2,000 years ago, in the year of AD 16, there was a deadly epidemic outbreak in southwest of China. At that time, the ruling emperor of China was Wang Mang, and in that year, he was having a war with the China's neighboring country called Golding. The Chinese history book Hou Han Shu recorded this epidemic as following: third year of Tianfeng, the year of Bingzi, February, deadly epidemic outbreak. Feng Mao, who was the general of Wang's army, was at Golding. Up to 70% of the soldiers died due to the disease. You would notice that the way Chinese recorded history was very concise. Only one sentence on history book for such a serious epidemic causing so many deaths. The major reason is quite understandable. Books are so precious in ancient China, requiring lots of resource to preserve them. So only the most important information was to be recorded. With that being said, you probably would realize something strange on this history record right away. In this simple one-sentence record, there are 2 different ways to record the year of this epidemic: third year of Tianfeng and the year of Bingzi. Both means the year of AD 16 in Gregorian calendar. Since every word is so precious, Chinese historians would try everything they could to save even one word. Why they still use 2 alternative ways to record the years and give this redundant information? To answer this question, let's first inspect how these 2 different year numbering systems work. The first one, third year of Tianfeng, is a regnal year. Tianfeng is the name of Emperor Wang Mang's regime. Regnal year, which counts years from accession of the current regime, is very popular in history all over the world, since it gives implications of rulers' ownership and power. Regnal year has been widely used by Western and Eastern monarchies, from Sumerian, Babylonian, Egyptian to Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, and Japanese, who are still using it today. If we say the regnal year is more to build up political authority, another very common year numbering system is to build up religious authority. Gregorian calendar, most commonly used calendar today, named after Pope Gregory XIII, counts year from Anno Domini, which means the birth year of Jesus. Islamic calendar, major calendar in Arabian world, starting its year from Hijri year, when Muhammad and his followers migrated from Mecca to Medina. And based on Islamic calendar, 2020 is the year 1441 AH. And Hebrew calendar, calendar of Jewish, their first year starts from Anno Monday, which means the creation of the world. And according to Jewish religion, that year was 3760 BC. So 2020 is 5780 on Hebrew calendar. The year of Bingzi, the other year recorded on Chinese history book, is also a religious year. It is based on native religions of ancient China and its beginning year is the first year of King Huang, who is regarded as common ancestor of all Chinese. Unlike other religious years typically use decimal systems for the numbering, the Chinese religious year uses a special numbering system which utilizes 60 combinations of 10 celestial icons called Tiangan and 12 zodiac called Dizhi to count the year periodically, and the Chinese call it Ganzhi year. For Ganzhi year, we have 3 numbers are pretty interesting to take a deeper look. Why there are 10 celestial icons, 12 zodiacs, and why only use 60 combinations? Since the full combination of 10 and 12 are 120. In most cases, we use 10 and decimal system because we have 10 fingers. We have 12 months every year since we can see full moons 12 times each year. But the 10, 12, and 60 in the Chinese Ganzhi year have different origins. The 10 celestial icons are derived from the 5-element theory, and the 5 elements are metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. Each element have both positive and negative sides, which called yin and yang, so we have 10 celestial icons. As to the 12 Chinese zodiac, it is based on Jupiter and Sun conjunction period, which is about 12 years. Chinese observe that the Jupiter and Sun meet every 12 years, and call the 12-year cycle an age. Assign each year a zodiac, later associate the 12 zodiac with 12 animals, eventually evolved to the 12 Chinese animal zodiac years, which is quite well known today. Then why use 60 years period for the Ganzhi year cycle? It is based on Jupiter-Saturn-Sun conjunction. Since Jupiter's orbital period is about 12 years, while Saturn's orbital period is about 30 years, so the two planets will align with Sun in every 60 years. Chinese call each 60 year a jiazi, basically means a life cycle, and use one combination of celestial icon and zodiac to stand for each year within the 60-year cycle. Of course, you would be surprised that the Ganzhi year calendar only can count 60 years. Actually, it does have larger year unit. For example, 360-year cycle called an era. Era is a year unit heavily used in Chinese feng shui, and 3 era is an epoch, which is 540 years. Unit larger than epoch is rarely used. Why is that? You will get it once I explain how Chinese use the Ganzhi years. And in majority of cases, only the 60 Ganzhi combinations are used to count years periodically. The year of Binzi in the history book is such a Ganzhi year, and the Ganzhi year of 2020 is Genzi, and the year of 2021 is Xinchou. I know it is almost impossible for you guys to remember those meaningless Chinese characters. Believe me, 95% of Chinese cannot remember it either. Here is an easier way to memorize a Ganzhi year. You can directly convert the celestial icons to its related 5 elements and use the related animal for the zodiac. This is a table to correlate celestial icons and zodiac to 5 elements and zodiac animals. So the Binzi year in the history book is fire rat year. Year 2020 is metal rat year, and the year 2021 will be metal cow year. Chinese believe that human's life and our society to some extent repeat itself and evolve with the 60-year intervals. Similar things will happen and similar fate will follow in 60-year cycle. Based on Chinese native religion, this is decided by the ultimate principle of the universe, which Chinese call it Tian. There's no good translation for Tian. Direct translation will be the sky. A commonly accepted translation is the mandate of heaven. You can understand it as an omnipotent power which influences us without bias. Ancient Chinese believe that if you obey the mandate of heaven, you will be rewarded. Otherwise, you will be punished. And the mandate of heaven executes its reward and punishments following a schedule, which is, of course, the Ganzhi calendar. Through thousands of years, Chinese study the so-called mandate of heaven and recognize her behavior pattern, such as in certain year on certain day, she will be in a good mood, more tend to reward us for our obedience with the auspicious, including agricultural abundance, military success, higher birth rate, less natural disasters. Or in certain years, the mandate of heaven will be in a pretty bad mood, having much higher possibility to punish our defiance with plague, drought, flood, crop failures, financial crisis, political and social conflicts, wars, etc. That's why when Chinese make decisions on the date of their weddings, move into new house, open a new business, even for the funeral, they will check the calendar book to find an appropriate date. Now you will understand why on Chinese history book, both the Regnal year and the Ganzi year were recorded. Basically, it told you this event was happened under which king, and the mandate of heaven was in what kind of mood in that year.
Professor Y, then how can I figure out the auspicious year or ominous year? Any convenient book or cheat sheet for a quick reference?
Well, there are several not so convenient books for you to check, but they are all written in ancient Chinese, not easy for even a native Chinese speaker to understand, and they all have different focus. For example, one of the most famous one is a comic book called Tui Bei Tu, which was written about 1500 years ago by two very famous Taoist priests, Yuan Tiangang and Li Chunfeng. It is more focused on political status of countries in East Asia, and giving metaphorical comic for each Ganzi year. Another one is called Di Mu Jin. Not sure about its author or year of completion, but it was written at least 300 years ago. Di Mu Jin is more like an agricultural guideline using 1 point for each Ganzi year to function as an annual weather forecast. Of course, the most common book is the Chinese traditional calendar book, also called Yellow Calendar, with very detailed action guideline for each day. Today, you can easily access to this calendar online. Now, let's use those books to check how is year 2020 look like. On Tui Bei Tu, the comic for this year is like this. The creature standing in the water is not a human, but a devil. He is carrying a human's head. Certainly this is not a good metaphor. Devil in water could imply drought, or flood, or plague. Human's head means death, which obviously caused by the devil. Based on the annotation underneath the comic, except for the coronavirus breakout we are experiencing right now, there seems to be another black swan-like event will happen around August this year. We will see. On Di Mu Jin, the poem for this metal red year said, many people will die unnaturally this year, flood in spring and summer, drought and hunger in fall and winter, disturbance, even wars followed. Believe it or not, in this metal red year, at least China followed the Ganzi calendar pretty closely. If we check the previous metal red year, we will have more findings. The last metal red year, which is 1960, China was experiencing a severe shortage of food, which led to the death of around 30 million people in that year and the following 2 years. Such heavy death number in peace years has never been seen before in over 3,000 years of China's recorded history. In 1900, another metal red year, when China was still under the regime of Qing dynasty, Union Army of 8 countries invaded Beijing, the capital city of China, forced the Qing government to sign a treaty with reparation of over 400 million ounces of silver, roughly 8.3 billion US dollars today. And the previous metal red year, 1840, Great Britain started the First Opium War with China, resulted China to sign the Treaty of Nanking, in which China rent Hong Kong to Great Britain for 100 years. Seems that the metal red year really is an ominous year for China, at least in the last 2 centuries. It is worth noting that, based on Chinese philosophy, the auspicious or ominous expectation on Ganzi calendar is just high possibility events. They are not doomed to happen. How to make auspicious to happen and ominous not to happen? The answer is, as we said before, obey and follow the mandate of heaven. As it said in the first chapter of I Ching, the great people, align with the principle of universe, accompany the brightness of sun and moon, comply the rotation of the 4 seasons, ride with gods and devils, follow the mandate of heaven, and the mandate of heaven will follow you. When the mandate of heaven follows you, why need to worry about people, or even gods, or devils? Naturally, you may ask how to follow the mandate of heaven. The answer will be quite long, involving theory of several different Chinese philosophies, including Taoism, Confucianism, I Ching, even Feng Shui, which is certainly out of the scope of this video. Based on Chinese philosophy, the Ganzi calendar is more like a trained artificial intelligence model, What it gives is a possibility based on various inputs, rather than a prophecy. It's quite interesting that the input for this Ganzhi calendar model also requires geographic positions. 3,000 years ago, in Zhou dynasty, Chinese started to associate different geographic regions of China based on constellation positions, and studied the Ganzhi calendar's different impact in different regions. In another word, Ganzhi year's effect is different in different regions of China. This also gives us a clue that the Chinese Ganzhi calendar is highly likely calibrated based on China geographically. The auspicious year or ominous year on Chinese Ganzhi calendar is not necessarily such year in countries in the other part of the world, like US. And for US, the Ganzhi calendar might need to be recalibrated and rebuilt to be used. Actually, if we look at the US history, a certain Ganzhi year is quite interesting to be noted, which is Metal Snake Year. The previous Metal Snake Year is 2001, the year of catastrophic 911 attack. The Metal Snake Year before that is 1941, when we have Pearl Harbor attack. And then the Metal Snake Year before that, 1881, in which year President James Garfield got assassinated. US might need to pay special attention in the next Metal Snake Year, which is 2061. Okay, to summarize this video, we introduced the Chinese Ganzhi calendar and how Chinese find out auspicious year and ominous year. Wish everyone have a healthy and safe metal red year in 2020. If you like my video, don't forget to subscribe the channel. This is Professor Y. See you next time.